Did you know that 90% of the world's millionaires invest in real estate? Well, I'm Angel with the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks, and I'm here to help you if you want to go for your piece of that pie.
Now, how many houses or properties have to be in the package to go commercial?
We just did 2.
Just 2. They'll do commercial loan on 2. Wow.
They'll do a commercial loan on 1.
Will they refinance with a commercial? Like if you have something already, will they do a refinance, or did you know? Okay.
No,
I may be doing that. I may look into that. I may be looking into putting like all of my rentals into one package deal and get a commercial loan instead. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to call the bank tomorrow and I'll let you know what they say.
No doubt. And you don't have to do that HELOC thing because the HELOC is only on your personal home. You can do a business line of credit, or you can do an equity line of credit based on the equity in your investments.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
And it's not a baby line of credit. It was like, for us, it was like 90,000.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome.
Maybe 80. I forget exactly what he quoted, but yeah.
Wow. That's pretty darn cool. That's pretty cool. That's awesome. Because yeah, there's one I want to sell. There's a rental property now that the neighbor wants to buy it, and I told him when the tenant came out, when the tenant left, I would consider selling it to him. But it's actually tied on a two property mortgage, so I have to actually split it off that mortgage. So that'd be a great deal. Let's just put these 5 together. This one, they can, we'll call it paid in full, and we're just going to carry the entire balance on these 5. Yeah, that sounds good.
And they don't have to be geographically next to one another.
Okay.
Because ours are in different places in town.
Okay. Doggone it. Light bulb just went off. Did you see that? Did the light flicker?
Now the interest rate is like 5 or 6%. And when you're looking at all these interest rates that are like 2% for traditional, you're like, well, 5 or 6, that's really bad.
Right.
But you're not paying it.
Right.
Your tenant is paying it. So would it be better to have it lower? Well, yeah, it would be. But how easy was it for us?
Right. Right. That's true. That's true.
The banker brings his 2 little checks. The title company goes and takes those little checks back to the little back office, brings us another check.
Exactly.
We hand the keys over to our realtor and manager, and we walk to the bank or drive to the bank.
Actually, at that time, you're skipping to the bank and singing along. That's awesome.
Yeah, but it was it's just try it. Just try it.
I'm going to reach out to them, see if we'll do it. Yeah. We may have to go to a different bank. Who knows?
I think the thing that I liked the most was by doing an equity line of credit on the equity in your investments, you're getting a chance to use those dollars more than once, because it's still sitting as equity
right
in your asset, but you're getting to play with it over here in this line of credit.
Right.
That even though you have to pay it back and all that stuff, you're still getting to play with those dollars, even though they're still pretty non-liquid sitting over here in your asset.
Sure.
So I don't know. It was just sharing with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing with me.
Well, and I mean, one of the other things that we've come across too, is being able to use a dollar more than once, is that the whole infinite banking concept. Oh, that one's super cool too.
I've been hearing about that. I've really got to look into that more.
Oh, you absolutely do.
Yep.
So it's because say you have $100,000 policy, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but just basic. You got $100,000 policy, and that policy gets paid from the insurance company because it's an insurance policy. But you can take the money out of it and invest it in real estate. Say you take $50,000 out of it and put it into a syndication.
Right.
The insurance policy itself is still getting earnings on that $100,000.
Wow.
So then you're paying back into your insurance policy for the loan. Say it's a 5%, but you're over here in this syndication making 8 to 10, say 8.
Okay.
You're making 3% there, basically 3%, but then you're also paying yourself back. So that 3% is compounding on the 5%, which is still being paid into by the insurance company.
Wow. Man. Yeah, that's definitely something I'm looking into as well.
But we've learned so much getting in with the groups of real estate investors.
Mm-hmm.
Like we learned about investing in ATM funds. What the heck? So for like, what was the last one I looked at? It was 104,000. It was 6 ATMs. The fund maintains them and places them, and it pays you. Oh, what was it? It was either 55 a month or 85 a month. It came out to about an 80% return at the end of 6 years.
Are you serious?
Mhm.
Holy crap.
Well, all plus 80%. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Man, that's awesome. That is fantastic. That is fantastic.
And oil and gas, even though oil is not doing well, it's still a great place to diversify because you still get decent returns even when it's not great.
True, because what gas might go up to $4 a gallon here pretty soon in January, or maybe.
I don't know. I mean, we just JV on the deal with oil and gas, and it's just like the pro forma was at like $50 a barrel. I'm like, bull. But even when I took it down to 25, it wasn't horrible.
No. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we learned about so many different investment tools.
Sure.
And investment vehicles on this crazy ride of real estate investing. And
yeah, man, that's awesome.
It absolutely is. But like I'll probably never wholesale because I don't know anything about how to do it. And
talk to me. Oh, I'll teach you up real good.
Oh, it's scary though.
There's
People
zero.
But they buy really, really ugly houses.
Yeah, but you don't have to worry
like
about it.
Falling apart houses.
And here's the thing though. Think about it this way. You know what the house can look like. You being that you buy a house that needs to be fixed up to rent. Now, granted, you don't swing the hammers. You're very passive. You got your agent hiring everybody out to do it. But you know what it looked like when you bought it. You know what it looked like when it was finished, right? So you can see. You got the vision to know that ugly house can look really pretty when it's done. So that's the hard part. The hard part's having the vision. Some investors don't want to buy an ugly house because they don't have the vision to see what it's going to look like when it's pretty. But there are several out there that can, right? But wholesale, you have zero risk at all. I put $10 down on every contract I put. People laugh like, wait, you're not putting $500 to $1,000 earnest money down? Every single one of my contracts say $10. And people are like, what? And I've only been called to the table on it like twice, where the person was like, I need more than that. And I'm like, look, I'm in the business of buying houses. If I put $100 down on 100 houses that I'm trying to buy, I wouldn't have any money to buy those houses, give them that story. And it makes sense, right? So I'm like, I'm in the business of buying houses, not in the business of putting deposits down on houses. So, and I only had one time where the person didn't say, okay, and that person had to walk away. I was like, I'm sorry, we agreed on the price. You're good with the price. You won't budge it. You want me to put $500 down. I'd rather just take that time and put it towards buying your house. But you want to take the time arguing about how much I'm going to put down on your house. I can go have 4 other houses under contract tomorrow, spend $10 each on them, and I've got less money down tied up on those houses than I had on your one house. So, but so I had to walk away from that one. But other than that, every single one of them, $10 is good. If they ask about it, I explain it to them, and they're good with it. So yeah, and man, I'm telling you, geez,
I guess I just don't get it.
No, that's all right.
Maybe it's just I don't get it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, you're not, and that's the thing. The people, I've seen a lot of wholesalers these days try to suck all the meat off the bone, right? I mean, they're in the business of finding the best deals there is out there, and they're marketing for the deals that aren't on the MLS. They're not, you don't know about these deals. They're the hidden deals, right? And you're marketing for them and you're finding them. And then you're just taking a little sliver. Hey, I want to make this amount, and then I'm going to give my end buyer, make sure they have a nice amount that they can make money on this deal. And then maybe they'll come and buy more from me later. I've had several deals that have been from repeat buyers, but I know several wholesalers that if they needed to do 100 deals this year, they would need 95 buyers. Whereas I'm doing 100 deals this year, I'm going to need 7 or 8 just because of timing, maybe 10. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I don't need nearly. And if I need 20 because they're buying 5 each, it's because of timing. Can they get 2 done at the same time or 4 done at the same time or whatever? Not because I'm burning bridges, not because I sucked all the meat off the bone and stuck it to you. Ha ha ha. But I see people do that all the time, and they burn out pretty quick because they're not building good, solid business practice. But you take a little meat off the bone, make sure Papa or Mama gets fed, and they'll come by and buy more meat from you later.
I'm trying to think of like areas where it would make sense, like areas of home, like where it would make sense to try and go and get something under contract, or
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing.
I don't know.
You probably know other real estate investors in Wichita Falls, right? People buying rental property, and if not, you can do a quick search. You can do a search, like I could search RealFlow and see who's bought houses in Wichita Falls for cash, and it'll give me and within a certain period of time, 6 months or 3 months, and they'll give me a whole list.
I know one guy for sure.
Yeah,
I know one guy.
I could skip trace those people, call them, say, hey, I'm not trying to bother you. I see you bought a house in such and such street here in Wichita Falls. I'm just curious, are you looking for more? I'm a real estate investor too. Are you looking for more rental property, or are you looking for more investment property? And they might say yes. They might say, don't call me back. I don't know why. I would never tell anybody that called me wanting to know if I wanted to talk about real estate. I would never tell them to stick where the sun doesn't shine. So I'd be like, tell me more. But that's just me. Some people might, why are you calling me? Well, I'm trying to make you money. I'm trying to help you make money. But you do that.
How would somebody buy, like, so wholesaler, you get a contract from the seller,
right?
And then you assign that over to a buyer. But why would someone buy a wholesale property? Like,
they're still getting a good deal. They're still getting a good deal. They're usually, so, you, as you probably have heard, you assess the value of the house when it is fixed up, right? So that's called your after repair value, ARV. So I'm going to use real easy numbers. Let's call it 100,000. I know that may be way low some places, it may be way high in some places, but 100,000. The house is worth 100,000 after you fix it up. Once you rehab it, it's worth $100,000, but it's going to need $20,000 worth of work. Let's just say that. So $100,000. You start the formula is 70% of the ARV minus repairs, and then the part a lot of people always forget, minus your fee is the offer you make for the house. So $100,000 house, you start at 70%. So your initial starting point is 70,000. It needs 20,000 in repairs, so you subtract that. So now you're at 50,000. And let's say you want to make 5,000 on it. So you subtract the other 5,000. My offer to the seller is 45,000. And now I'm going to go market it for that 5,000 more. I'm going to market it to sellers or buyers for 50,000. So I'm going to make $5,000 on a quick, flip without ever swinging a hammer, without ever closing on it. I'm just going to sign it over. And the reason they'll buy it is because they're getting a potentially $100,000 house for $45,000 or $50,000, and all they have to put in is $20,000, and they've got $30,000 in equity sitting right there. So, and they can make $30,000 minus some holding costs if they're going to flip it. If they're going to keep it as a rental, then they've got $30,000 in equity in a rental that maybe down the line they want to refinance, and now they got built-in equity already. So that's why. It's just at least in my contracts, there's zero risk. I don't ever put a property under contract that I honestly, sincerely don't think I could sell. I've never put a property under contract thinking, you know what, I paid too much. I'm probably not going to be able to sell this, so I'm not gonna close it. Right? I've never done that. If I've done it, it's not been on purpose. I probably, when I started out, I may have done that a couple times because I didn't understand the market, or I didn't understand the pricing or whatever, that neighborhood. Maybe I didn't quite understand it as well. But yeah, it's so, you put it under contract at the right price, at the right number. Heck, I'm JVing with another wholesaler here that she and I have been working together for five years at least, maybe 6 years now, 5 years, I think at least. And we put this property under. I got a call from a guy that she and I had bought a house from before, wholesale signed a house from before. He called me back, hey, I got another house for you. So I called her in out of professional courtesy. I'm like, look, I only know this guy because you and I worked this deal together. So I called her in on it. It was such a big piece of junk house. Literally, it is, when you think of ugly houses, this was an ugly house. Seriously. The attached garage needed to come down. It was in dilapidated shape. It was just horrible. And we put it under contract for $4,000. Not kidding you, $4,000. And we were going to market it for $9,900. Just make a quick little $6,000 on it, maybe not quite $6,000, and then split that. He called us the next day, the day after we got it under contract, said, you know what, I can come down to 3,000 if you can sell it quicker. So we're like, well, we'll meet you halfway. We'll do $3,500. And we had a buyer on the hook for like $7,000. So we didn't even sell it for the full, 9,900. We were able to come down to $7,000, and we made $3,500. The seller is making $3,500, and the buyer has a house that they can rehab and make as a rental, and they're happy. So everybody walks away satisfied. I always use, when I'm talking, especially when I'm talking to sellers, I'm like, look, I just want you to be satisfied. I want to be satisfied. This has to be, I say, win-win-win situation. I don't use win-win. I use win-win-win because I say you need to win, I need to win, and my investment partners need to win. So it's got to be a win-win-win situation, and that's what we try to create. Something. But I tell them, you have to be satisfied. If either one of us are happy, either I paid you too much or you didn't get enough. So have to be satisfied. But I'm telling you, we could talk more about wholesaling. If you're just curious about, man, because people are killing it, and it's a nice little supplemental. I think I mentioned this a lot of times. I think of wholesaling as an ATM that you don't have to make deposits on. You just walk up and get money out of it because you have the magic pen. So you can plug it in and get your $5,000 out of it, get your $2,000. Now, not every, I've made as little on an assignment deal. I've made as little as like, I cannot remember the exact amount, but it was like $338 or something like that on a deal, but it was super quick, and there were some hurdles to get, and there was a lien at the end that we didn't know about. So we said, look, just take out of the assignment fee so we can get this deal done. The seller needs to sell. We want to solve this problem. We made as little as that. And I don't go for all broke. I've had a couple deals I probably could have made 20, 25 grand on it, but I price it so it sells fast to my end buyers, and I make 10 or 11 or 12 on it. So that's just my own personal business.
How long does it take you to create a buyer list, though?
It depends. It depends. And nowadays, if you have the right tools, you can do. There was an area that I was working that I had. Usually there are two areas in the St. Louis area that I don't go near. And I'm sure you could probably think of it in any major city. You don't go near that area because it's a war zone, or it's just really high crime, or whatever you want to call it. And there's a couple areas in the St. Louis area I don't market to, but it's not because I'm afraid of those areas or they're high crime or whatever. It's because I don't have buyers there. And I don't have buyers for that zip code and that zip code. So I don't market there. I don't try to find houses or deals there. But one falls in my lap every once in a while. They see a sign and they happen to have a house in that zip code, and they call me. So a friend of mine reached out and said, hey, they had gotten a house under contract in that zip code. And I'm like, I've never done one in that zip code. I don't have buyers, but I tell you what, if you want to JV with me, I will bust my butt and we'll get it sold. So we did. We marketed it maybe about a week, and we set up a bunch of viewings, showings. We had it sold. It was even worse than that house I was just telling you about. We had it under contract for $2,500. And it needed probably about 30 grand in work, if not more, but we had it sold within a week. And we built the buyers list just for marketing it out on Facebook and Craigslist and all that kind of stuff. But to do a legitimate, do it right. Yeah, you want to get out and you want to network. You want to go to as many RIA meetings as you can, but you can also go out. People knock Zillow. I know investors knock Zillow. When you're using Zillow to run comps, yeah, you shouldn't probably use Zillow to run your comps. But you know what Zillow's good for? Zillow does have a sold. You go there, you plug in an address, and it tells you what other properties around there are sold. Look up those buyers. Look up those buyers in your assessor site. I've done that. I've gone to Zillow, plugged in the address of the house we had under contract, or that we were going to see. We didn't even say contract yet. Plug in the house because I wanted to see how many have recently sold in that area and all that, very, very, very quickly, what amount of time, and potentially use that to build a buyer's list for that area. And I did. I reached out to somebody from California who had bought a house 3 doors down, and just simply, I wasn't trying to broker a deal with him. I just said, hey, I saw you bought a house on this street. Would you be interested in buying a house that's 3 doors down from that one? His answer was yes. So we ended up not getting the deal, But if we would have, guess who would have been my first call? I've been calling that person saying, look, I've got a house 3 doors down from here. Here's our price. Do you want it? And then wholesaling, all you're doing is you're selling a piece of paper. You're not selling the property. You're selling your contract, right? So anyway, I'm rambling on here. I'm so sorry.
No, it's absolutely interesting because like I don't. Probably the biggest reason why we've never even thought about it is because like I can't wrap my head around it.
Right.
And like I said before, I think I'm pretty dang smart.
Yeah. Sure.
And I just can't. It logically does not make sense to me.
If I now you're like a guy I know who owns a ton of rental property. He owns a ton of multi-property, multi-unit properties. He owns some single family homes. He's starting to get into some commercial deals, some commercial properties, and he has a real estate agent that brings him every deal. He buys about 99% of them. But guess who gets him his 1%? Me. And he doesn't have to worry about his agent knows about it, so it's not like he's cheating on his agent with a wholesaler. It's like, look, he gets deals that aren't on the MLS. And he can bring them to me, and I save a crap load of money, and I can buy it for cheaper than I would if it was on the MLS or whatever. But yeah, so and he's a great buyer for me, and like I said, I'm not gonna bring him 80% of his deals. I'm not gonna bring him 10% of his deals. On a great year, maybe I'll start bringing him 5%, but it's probably 1% of his deals are coming from me because they meet his exact criteria. And that's the cool thing too. Once you get wholesaling and you do,
so all the pictures I've seen, like, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about is like when I think of these houses from like my friends that are wholesaling,
right.
They're like wooden box houses with wood on the windows, with plywood or OSB or something nailed up into the windows, and I'm just like, who would ever buy that?
Oh, true. Oh, no, true. Definitely. Let's see. The one we're closing on tomorrow, we didn't board up. It's a nice house. Again, mom and dad lived there for 50 years, 60 years, maybe. And dad was the last one to pass. So dad passed within the last 6 months, let's say. Kids needed to finally sell it, So I've got a mailing list that, it's not a probate mailing list, but it's pretty darn close. So I've literally mailed a letter, and within 2 weeks of mailing the letter, I get a call from a relative because the mom or the dad or the aunt or whatever just died like a couple days ago. So it was very timely. It wasn't, but then I've also actually mailed out a letter that they actually got in the mailbox the day dad died. So it's not, but usually if I'm, and I tell them, look, well, and I tried to lighten the mood. I was like, well, that should tell you I'm not an ambulance chaser. You'd have gotten it 2 or 3 days later. You got it on the day. So I'm not an obituary chaser even. So, I mean, I was trying to make light of the situation. He kind of, he needed a little relief on that. He kind of found something in that. He's like, yeah, I guess you're right. But, apologize immensely, give him my condolences. Like, look, it's never meant to time like that. It's just, we're looking for houses that have been owned by the same person for 30, 40, 50 years, which in turn means they're probably old, right? And when you get old, you get closer to a certain life event, or non-life event, or whatever you want to call it. And it's not trying to make light of that, not trying to make fun of that. It's just, that's life. That's the math, right? So, and the longer somebody owns a property, probably every once in a while it's not, but probably it's free and clear. So they may be more flexible on a price. But every once in a while, mom had a gambling habit and took out a second mortgage on the house. Now she owes $95,000 on her $100,000 house because she was going to the casino every weekend. I've run into that too, literally.